The coaching staff revealed the presence of concerning injuries involving 2 names from the team, a key veteran specialist in special teams and a young talent from the defensive unit. This medical setback has raised a red flag and threatens to disrupt the coaching staff's tactical plans for this start of camp. And there's more news. A former first-round draft pick is at real risk of losing his spot and being cut from the roster, while a promising young player is trying to turn the sudden absence of a veteran into the biggest opportunity of his career. At the same time, the extraordinary evolution of a defensive prodigy promises to completely change our way of playing. So go ahead and leave a like on the video. It's just 1 click, and it helps me a lot to keep bringing the truth about the Commanders to you. Dan Quinn and Adam Peters spoke to the press on Tuesday afternoon during the veterans presentation. As a fan who follows every move, I know this was a crucial meeting to set the priorities for the season. The first announcement was that punter Tress Way and linebacker Kane Medrano were dealing with injuries that shouldn't keep them out for long. Tress suffered a pectoral injury and will undergo rehabilitation separately, while Medrano is dealing with a minor thigh injury sustained during preseason training. Way is the longest tenured player on the team and should still be considered the starting punter, even though the team has tested 4 different kickers. A pectoral injury won't completely prevent him from training, but the use of protective equipment will likely be out of the question when they are cleared. Medrano's injury seems less concerning, but he will also begin recovery training while managing the thigh injury. With the retirement of special teams specialist Nick Bellore, Medrano should inherit a good number of snaps in that unit if he can stay healthy. Although Washington prefers to start training camp with a full roster, none of the injuries seem capable of altering the team's larger plans. Way has nothing to prove during the first part of camp, while Medrano will have plenty of time to compete once he's cleared. On the eve of the first practice, the team evaluated 9 players, including 4 punters. Among those who performed well, punter Matt Eck was signed, according to his agent. Real football is officially back, so it's time to make some bold predictions before the first practice. The Washington Commanders hold their first official practice on July 29th, which finally gives us real football to discuss. After weeks of speculation, a flood of updates on the roster, position battles, and practice reports will fill the timeline. Let's analyze 4 bold predictions for the 2026 edition of the Commanders training camp. Treylon Burks will not be selected for the final roster. I understand why people like Treylon Burks' potential, as he is a big, fast, and very athletic target for his size. But therein lies the problem. The idea behind him is great, but the on-field performance leaves much to be desired. He made a spectacular touchdown catch against the Denver Broncos, one of the best of the year. However, outside of that, he was extremely inefficient in his first year in Washington, finishing with a catch rate of 45.5% and an average of 0.85 yards per route. Those numbers are terrible for any receiver. He will have a full preseason to learn the system, but considering his time in Tennessee, there isn't much to get excited about. Burks has issues with concentration and injuries, never coming close to the player the Titans envisioned when they selected him 18th overall in 2022. The only thing that could keep him on the roster is the lack of elite receivers from the Commanders, which makes life much easier for him. Even so, I don't think he can reach that level. Sonny Styles will immediately earn the green dot. During voluntary workouts in minicamp, the Commanders discussed the possibility of rotating the player with the green dot at the beginning of practices, which makes sense given the new defense with 3 candidates: Styles, Frankie Louvu, and Leo Chenal. Of these 3, I think Chenal has the least chance because he is not a complete linebacker like Styles and Louvu are expected to be. Styles has the best chance of taking on that role immediately. The player with the green dot needs to be on the field as much as possible to communicate the plays, and Styles is the embodiment of that. I hope that this year's 7th overall draft pick starts training camp as the leader of the defense, which is a big step for the rookie. Trey Amos will have a year away from the field, technically. Amos was placed on the physically unable to perform list before the start of training camp, something I had anticipated would happen. His recovery from the leg fracture suffered last year has been going well, but it's progressing at a slower pace than the Commanders would like. Additionally, the signing of Rasul Douglas reinforced this line of reasoning. It's important not to rush Amos's return, especially considering he was selected in the 2nd round of the draft and is only in his 2nd year of his career. Based on what Douglas showed last year, I think he will start alongside Mike Sainristil and or Amick Robertson. Therefore, Amos's 2nd year will largely be a year of being a backup. Drew Stevens will outperform Jake Moody. Moody performed well in his brief time with Washington in 2025, making 10 of 11 field goals and 10 of 11 extra points. However, his accuracy has been very inconsistent to rely on it throughout his career. Stevens also has questions about his accuracy. In college, he was the type who played 1 year well, 1 year not, but he has a strong leg and has done well in practices so far. For kickers, the rhythm of preseason practices can be transferred to training camp more easily than for other positions because they do not deal with real physical contact. I think Stevens will win the spot. If that happens, he will become the 10th kicker on the Commanders roster since Adam Peters and Dan Quinn took over in 2024. Some reporters questioned whether the competition at the linebacker position would prevent Jordan Maji from having a greater impact in his third year with the Washington Commanders. Now, a surprising development gives him the opportunity to carve out his own path. The Commanders confirmed that veteran Nick Bellore chose to retire rather than face another round of intense training. This was surprising and a blow to the special teams unit, but Washington has many young players seeking an opportunity. Maji is among them. The third-year player has shown flashes of talent in the defensive rotation over the past 2 years, but with Frankie Louvu returning to his receiving role, the signing of Leo Chenal in free agency, and 7th overall pick Sonny Styles, the Temple alum is now well down the hierarchy. Jordan Maji is a strong candidate to become the leader of the Commanders' special teams. One of the factors that attracted the Commanders to Maji was his athletic physical attributes. His score of 83 in athleticism at the 2024 NFL Scouting Combine placed him third among all linebackers. These characteristics have been evident in professionalism, but to take the next step, he needs to improve his discipline and tackling technique. Maji has established himself as a valuable member of the special operations team over the past 2 years, and with Bellore's departure, the Commanders need someone to take on that responsibility. The Commanders have undergone a renewal with younger players this preseason. There is now more dynamism and energy throughout the roster. Maji will certainly have bigger ambitions than just playing on special teams, but that is not a bad option for someone looking to stay on the team. Kane Medrano and Alekaho should also believe they have a good chance. They haven't had many opportunities on defense so far, but they are well conditioned and instinctive. Bellore's leadership will perhaps be missed more than his on-field performance. At the same time, this is the cycle of life in the NFL. Players age, move on, and retire. There is always a new wave of young prospects eager to follow in their footsteps. In the case of the Commanders, this is a positive thing for the future. But in the end, don't be surprised if Maji is the most reliable member of the special teams. So, fan, after discovering how the Commanders reveal injuries to Tressway and Kane Medrano at the start of camp, understanding the 4 bold predictions for training camp that could completely surprise fans, and knowing that Jordan Maji could turn Nick Bellore's sudden absence into a decisive opportunity, which of these situations makes you more hopeful or concerned? Do you believe Treylon Burks will finally live up to the expectations of a first-round pick in 2026, or will he be cut from the roster as predicted? And more importantly, do you trust that Sonny Styles will immediately earn the green dot as a rookie and become the leader of the Commanders' defense, or are we being too optimistic about the expectations surrounding the young linebacker? Leave your opinion in the comments. I want to know what you think about the future of the Washington Commanders. The coaching staff revealed the presence of concerning injuries involving 2 names from the team, a key veteran specialist in special teams, and a young talent from the defensive unit. This medical setback has raised a red flag and threatens to disrupt the coaching staff's tactical plans for this start of camp. And there's more news. A former first-round draft pick is at real risk of losing his spot and being cut from the roster, while a promising young player is trying to turn the sudden absence of a veteran into the biggest opportunity of his career. At the same time, the extraordinary evolution of a defensive prodigy promises to completely change our way of playing. So go ahead and leave a like on the video. It's just 1 click, and it helps me a lot to keep bringing the truth about the Commanders to you. Dan Quinn and Adam Peters spoke to the press on Tuesday afternoon during the veterans presentation. As a fan who follows every move, I know this was a crucial meeting to set